Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about a scene that's been heavily discussed in the fandom for over 20 years. You see, back when Jurassic Park came out in 1993, it stayed in theaters for an unusually long amount of time. Since it kept making so much money, there wasn't really any real reason to get it out of the cinemas once it proved to be a massive hit. So the VHS release actually didn't happen until October of 1994. But when Jurassic Park finally did make the jump to home video, a big criticism began to circulate around the world. These complaints stemmed from the belief that the version we all got on video was not identical to the one that many people saw in theaters, and that the movie had instead been altered by removing a very memorable scene. This scene would have taken place towards the end of the film during the raptor attack. For 2 decades now, people have continued to insist that a portion of the film where the Tyrannosaur rams its head through the wall of the visitor center was taken out of the home video cut. First-hand accounts from people who vividly remember the scene describe it as being the answer to how the Rex was able to get into the building undetected. Apparently, this is due to every other scene depicting its feet being incredibly heavy and noticeably loud by characters on screen. The rumor is that the raptor would pounce for Grant and the others just before the T-Rex would burst through the building's wall and grab it in midair. So, is this really true? Did this scene in fact exist in the original version of the film? And were we all deprived of having it in the final release that was sold on VHS in the 90s? Well, let's take a look at the movie as it exists today. If we go back to the ending of the original Jurassic Park, we can see that the scene in which the Velociraptor is caught by the Tyrannosaur is done in a way that doesn't really permit any explicit cuts. Had Spielberg chosen to cut away to something like a head being rammed through a wall at this time, I think it would look kind of jarring in the middle of a raptor attack scene. But of course, that's not really enough to say that the scene doesn't exist. However, one particular bit of evidence that I think actually does hurt the wall-breaking theory is the background of the following shot. After the Rex catches the pouncing raptor, Spielberg actually shows us a full-body reveal of the Tyrannosaur while it's inside of the visitor center. And it's here where we can see that the dinosaur made its way into the building the same way the second raptor did. It simply walked through a hanging tarp that was covering up the hole in the unfinished wall. And when we're looking back to this particular scene in the movie, it is pretty obvious that there isn't much of a wall for the Tyrannosaur to even break at the end of the film. Furthermore, ILM artist Stephen Williams, who actually worked on Jurassic Park, has commented on the scene in question before in the past. He himself insisting that the Rex breaking through the rotunda scene was never created and therefore never existed in the movie. So, what went wrong? Why do people continue to insist that this scene was cut from Jurassic Park? Well, from what I can tell, it looks like this happens to be a case of false memory, better known on the internet as a Mandela effect. Now, a Mandela effect is basically just when a lot of people remember something wrong, like Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. Sometimes it can happen a lot with modern audiences for movies, but most of the time, rumored scenes being cut like this are pretty much too far-fetched to really be real. That being said, it isn't much of a secret that Jurassic Park was indeed changed from its theatrical release. In fact, a different color grade has been given to the movie every time it's come out on home video. Big shout out to Sick Triceratops for educating me on this stuff. He's got some extremely good content that I'd highly recommend to any fan if they're interested. But yeah, both the Laserdisc and VHS copies color grading differs from one another, and the DVDs as well as Blu-ray releases have a blue filter in front of them. Most recently, the 2013 version of the film was given a very odd orange filter as well, which I personally do not really like at all. Still, with all of these changes being made to the original movie, I really find it hard to believe that this Tyrannosaur wall-breaking scene ever really existed. That's not to say that it doesn't, we're all wrong from time to time, I just personally don't see any evidence to point to it being legit just yet. But hey, that's just what I think. Now, what are all of your personal opinions? Do you guys remember this scene being present in the original cut of Jurassic Park? Or do you think it likely doesn't exist? This is something that I'm actually really interested to hear what everyone has to say, because it's been talked about in the fandom for over 20 years, and I just have a hard time believing that people would just make it up for fun. Now, whatever your own thoughts and opinions happen to be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Now before I go, I'd like to thank all of my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. It really means the world to me that all of you guys enjoy what I do so much, and I'm extremely thankful to have all of your incredible support. Now I'd like to thank all of you for watching today's video and hope you all enjoyed the content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. See you all in the next one, guys, and as always, take it easy.